Making the headlines tonight. China warmly welcomes the King of Cambodia to visit the opening ceremony of the Beijing Winter Olympics. Prime Minister Hun Sen recalls the value of peace with 7 photos of a rapidly developing Phnom Penh. A US-based analyst has warned that rising tensions between Russia and Ukraine could potentially develop into the most significant conflict seen since World War II. Italy's Juventus Football Club have agreed to sign ACF Fiorentina striker Dusan Vlahovic in a deal worth $84.56 million. And the Smithsonian National Zoo welcomes the birth of a new porcupette. This is the Daily Roundup on EAC News Channel. A very good evening to you. I'm Darshana Gochan. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Zhao Lijian said during a press conference in Beijing held on Tuesday that China warmly welcomes the King of Cambodia to visit the opening ceremony of the Beijing Winter Olympics. Zhao Lijian was quoted by the Chinese embassy in Cambodia saying, "Cambodia is a good neighbor to China and has firmly supported the Chinese side in hosting the Beijing Winter Olympics. His Majesty King Norodom Sihamoni is an old friend of the Chinese people. We welcome His Majesty to China to witness the historic occasion of Beijing becoming the first city to ever host both the summer and winter editions of the Olympic Games." The Beijing Winter Olympics will begin on 4th February 2022, after the Chinese New Year. The 16-day international sports event will end on 20th February 2022, with nearly 3,000 athletes from 90 countries taking part. Prime Minister Hun Sen posted on his Facebook page recalling the value of peace with 7 photos of the development of Phnom Penh. EAC News reporter Straipor Kong has more.
The Prime Minister wrote saying that in recent years, the face of Phnom Penh has rapidly changed through the increasing presence of skyscrapers, bridges, flyovers, more roads, and other new infrastructure. All of these new developments reflect the great achievement of Cambodia, which has enjoyed complete peace throughout the country under the leadership of Prime Minister Hun Sen. The Prime Minister shared pictures of Phnom Penh that were taken in the air and wrote saying that Phnom Penh today is very different from the past, and in the future the city will only continue to grow more and become better. He stressed that all this progress could not have been happened if Cambodia was not at peace. And he added that the value of peace is priceless and everyone must work together to maintain peace in order to develop the nation even more. For the past 23 years, Cambodia has achieved peace and national reconciliation with full national unity and one government, benefiting from the win-win policy of Prime Minister Hun Sen. Achieving complete peace has given the royal government enough opportunity to develop the Cambodia to this day. The Prime Minister often reiterated that he would not allow Cambodia to fall back into a state of war and declared that peace must be maintained at any cost. Sripokong, EAC News.
Cambodia announces the launch of the Cambodia Safe and Green Tourism Destinations campaign to ensure the success of the reopening of international tourism. The Minister of Tourism, Thong Khon, has said that the success of this campaign is based on the rate of vaccination as a benchmark. Speaking at the opening ceremony of the campaign, Minister Thong Khon said that building community immunity against COVID-19 is the main goal of the campaign. He advised to jointly make this campaign a means of promoting tourism in Cambodia after the COVID-19 crisis to effectively support the ASEAN Tourism Corridor, the ASEAN Internal Tourism Movement, strengthen the resilience of Cambodia's tourism sector, and jointly strengthen the campaign support mechanisms. The managing director of the tourism industry, Nep Samut, said that the launch of the Safe and Green Tourism Destination campaign now comes after Cambodia successfully hosted the ASEAN Tourism Forum 2022 on 16th January, including a study on changing tourist attitudes, stepping into the new normal path of world tourism, the use of new technologies and concepts in today's tourism. He said that the campaign aims to implement the ASEAN Travel Corridor, linking the tourism destinations of one corridor to another, and organizing its tourism destinations in each country in the ASEAN region to be safe and low risk to respond at both the national level and strengthen its readiness to enter into implementation within the ASEAN framework, especially in 2022 while Cambodia is ASEAN chair. The Cambodia Safe and Green Tourism Destinations campaign will be divided into two levels, the capital provincial administration level and the private sector level, which will develop an assessment based on the roadmap on the plans to restore and promote tourism in Cambodia and in the aftermath of the COVID-19 crisis, including the implementation of health and safety measures. The assessment is divided into three levels, excellent, good, and moderate, based on four main indicators, tourism business, tourism staff, tourism industry, and market business, following the minimum standard operating procedures along the new normal trajectory and through the achievement of complete vaccination. The Minister of Commerce and the Commissioner of Cambodia for Dubai World Expo 2020, Pan Solsak, led a Cambodian delegation to hold a bilateral meeting with the Minister of International Trade of the United Arab Emirates, Thani bin Ahmed Al Zayudi, to promote investment opportunities between the two countries on Monday. This meeting was held on the occasion of the celebration of the National Day of Cambodia at the World Expo 2020 in Dubai. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has more.
Minister Thani bin Ahmed Al Zayudi commended the Royal Government of Cambodia for its support and participation in the 6th-month Dubai Expo 2020. He informed the Cambodian delegation about the economic, trade and tourism situation of the UAE and requested the Cambodian side to provide information on investment potential in Cambodia and to learn more about the joint ventures in the future. He stated that he wants a working group to study and examine the possibility of signing a free trade agreement between the two countries, as the UAE has done with India and some Asian countries in the past, in order to increase economic cooperation trade between the two countries. Minister Pan Solsak said the Cambodian has many favourable natural resources, thousands of agricultural products and many potential sectors that are developing, such as tourism, coastal areas, culture, ancient temples, especially Angkor Wat, transportation, airports, waterports, roads, buildings, and more that the UAE can come to invest in Cambodia. He stressed that the Cambodian also have a bilateral free trade agreement with China and the Republic of Korea and has continued to study the negotiations for a free trade agreement with major partners such as Japan, India, Mongolia, Canada and United Kingdom, to diversify markets and promote exports in line with the Royal Government of Cambodia 4th phase of the Rectangular Strategic Policy. Minister Pan Solsak also agreed with the UAE to set up a working group to study the possibility of signing a free trade agreement. During the talks, the two countries also agreed to invite the delegations to pay an official visit to their respective countries to learn more about joint investment opportunities in various potential sectors and to promote free trade agreements between the two countries in the future. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
The former Japanese ambassador to Cambodia, Takahashi Fumiyaki, has informed the Cambodian Minister of Agriculture, Veng Sakon, that a Japanese company wants to set up a working group to assist in the production and diversification of Cambodian silk production. EAC News reporter Srai Porkong has more details.
Speaking to Minister Veng Sakon at the Ministry of Agriculture on Wednesday evening, former Ambassador Takahashi mentioned the establishment of the Cambodia Golden Seal Working Group in Cambodia to produce seal for the textile sector and especially for processing seal products to use as protein by the cosmetic industry, which is popular among the Japanese women and in the local market today. He further stated that this arrangement will benefit the work of people living in rural areas, help promote the value of khmer skill, establish a center for hatching gold variety of worm that provide high yields, and request UNESCO to register Cambodian seal as a khmer cultural heritage. Minister Hun welcomed the Japanese investment in seal, saying that at present, the production of khmer seal has decreased a lot, and the establishment of investment project on seal will help to preserve the khmer seal weaving culture for future generations. The minister wrote on his Facebook page that he fully supports this investment project because it will help rebuild the khmer seal production capacity to serve the local seal market, reduce import, make the handicraft weaving process work more sustainably, provide more jobs to local people and reduce migration, promote the cultural tradition of hand-weaving seal, and especially introduce foreigners to the value of khmer skill. The people of Cambodia have traditionally practiced handloom production of seal for centuries, such as in the provinces of Takao, Banteay Mien Chey, Siem Reap, and Kampong Thom. But in recent years, the production of khmer seal has decreased. The Minister of Agriculture has acknowledged the decline and expressed support for cooperation to make the project of the Japanese company run smoothly and successfully. Sray Pokong, EAC News.
The Minister of Public Works and Transport, Senior Minister Sun Chantol, said that the ministry will promote the work of information technology and the organization of the digital revolution in the field of public transport and logistics. At the annual meeting of the Ministry of Public Works and Transport, Senior Minister Sun Chantol stated that the work of the ministry in 2022 involves information technology and the promotion of the digital revolution, the establishment of a telegram system to monitor and participate in the implementation of traffic law, participation in the implementation of the strategic framework, inspection of overweight vehicles in garages, vehicle processing and assembly, promotion of the use of electric vehicles, development of human resource training, and promotion and training of smartphone apps for citizen participation in road repair and maintenance. Senior Minister Sun Chantol also mentioned the expansion of the campaign to tighten rules on wearing helmets, commemorating National Road Safety Day to remember the victims of traffic accidents, continuing to promote the management of land and roads through information technology or smartphone apps, and continuing to negotiate and encourage the private sector to invest in logistics centers in Phnom Penh and Sihanoukville and other important areas, especially border areas, based on the principle of building, operation, and transfer. The projects of the Ministry of Public Works and Transport which have been completed so far include the National and Rural Road Network, which has been built with more than 15,000 kilometers of rubber and concrete, upgrading the quality of the two-layer rubber road to concrete, and it will be extended from 2 lanes to 4 lanes among some priority lanes. The number of cars and motorcycles on the road today has increased from 650,000 to 920,000 compared to 1998, while the number of motorcycles has increased from 200,000 to 5.2 million units. Public bus driver Mao Sopal was summoned by the unit to get educated after a video of an altercation with a motorcyclist was shared on social media. EAC News reporter Chamrong Ritisit has more.
In its press release issued on Wednesday, the Phnom Penh Autonomous Bus Transportation Authority stated that it considers the actions and gestures of the drivers affected the honors of the public transport service organizations, and especially affect the dignity and moralities of other bus drivers. The statement said, the Phnom Penh City Bus Authorities will strengthen the disciplines of the aforementioned drivers by inviting him to come and get educated, and sign a contract saying he will not repeat such action again. According to the Phnom Penh City Bus Authority, the dispute between a bus driver and a motorcyclist occurred on Tuesday, 25 January, at the Total petrol stations near Borei Santipip 2 in Po Sanchai district, which was caused by the bus driver blasting his horn to the motorcyclist, who was driving in the middle of the road. The motorcyclist became angry and said some insulting words to the bus driver that angered the bus driver in turn, who retaliated with more inappropriate gestures and words. The Phnom Penh City Bus Authorities also calls on all motorcyclists to respect the lanes of buses to avoid any possible accidents. Jembrong Retiset, EAC News.
The Secretary of State of the Ministry of Health and the chairperson of the Commission for COVID-19 Vaccination, Au Van Dien, met with a delegation of USAID representatives led by the new USAID Mission Director, Nancy Eslick, on Wednesday afternoon. The main purpose of this meeting was to learn about the Cambodian health system, discuss cooperation to strengthen health measures, and also fight against infectious diseases such as HIV/AIDS, malaria, tuberculosis, and other new infectious diseases. EAC News reporter Straipor Kong has more details.
Secretary of State Au Van Dien briefed the USAID delegation on the status of COVID-19 in Cambodia and the necessary and important campaign that have been carried out in the past to control the pandemic and reopen the country. USAID Mission Director Nancy Eslick commended and appreciated the Cambodian Ministry of Health's ongoing effort to improve the healthcare system, improve the quality of healthcare, and especially manage the COVID-19 pandemic. At the request of Secretary of State Au Van Dien, USAID will continue to support the strengthening of the health sector in Cambodia, as well as examine the possibility of cooperation in digital health, transmission, and non-communicable disease. The Secretary of State thanked USAID for its continued support of the Ministry of Health in implementing the health strategy plan to promote people-to-people health coverage to global health without leaving any member of the population behind. She further encouraged USAID to continue with such meetings to exchange information as well as discuss the progress of the implementation of work activity related to cooperation in the field of health between the two sides, and to regularly evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of their cooperation. Sri Pokong, EAC News.
Cambodia has reported 34 new COVID-19 cases, of which 7 are imported. There have been 19 patient recoveries and once again, no new deaths. Cambodia recorded another rise in Omicron cases today, with 27 new community and 7 new imported cases of the new variant. Cambodia has now recorded 709 cases of Omicron, 441 imported, and 268 community cases. Cambodia's COVID-19 case tally has now climbed to 121,150. The death toll stands at 3,015. The number of patients treated successfully since the pandemic reached Cambodia is 117,286, and the tally for imported cases has climbed to 20,298. Healthcare workers are now treating a total of 816 patients. Ukraine is committed to seeking a diplomatic solution to the current tension with Russia, its ambassador to Japan, Sergei Korsunsky, has said on Wednesday, January 26th, adding that he saw little chance of an all-out war, although there might be smaller conflicts.
Ukraine's Japan envoy, Ambassador Sergei Korsunsky, has warned an attack on a country with more than a dozen nuclear reactors would bring about a devastating regional impact on Europe.
I believe that full-scale war is very difficult to expect, but we may see more localized conflict. If it comes to military terms, let me tell you, we are very much ready. Our army is very well prepared.
The ambassador further says that Ukraine is getting prepared every day. Everything possible, they prepare and get ready for the military assault. But at the same time, Ukraine is working hard to find a diplomatic solution. Russia has massed tens of thousands of troops on its borders with Ukraine, and Western states fear Moscow is planning a new assault on a country it invaded in 2014 to annex the Crimean Peninsula.
All aboard! High-speed train ready for the Olympics. China has unveiled a brand new state-of-the-art Fuxing bullet train, said to be the world's first intelligent and autonomous high-speed train with a top speed of 350 kilometers per hour and a 5G live broadcast studio on board to serve the upcoming Beijing Winter Olympics.
The high-speed train trip from Beijing's Xinghe Station and Tajichang Railway Station in Zhangjiakou kicked off on Tuesday the 25th as start of the Winter Olympic draws near. The train ferries passengers between the Chinese capital and the mountain city of Zhangjiakou, which is set to host freestyle skiing and snowboarding. the biathlon ski jumping as well as cross-country skiing during the Games. Once passengers pass through the security check and use the ticketless QR scanner, the train reaches speeds up to 350 kilometres per hour, significantly reducing the time speed to around 50 minutes compared to the usual commute of 3 hours. The Winter Olympics are set to kick off on Friday, February the 4th and will run within a closed-loop system until it ends February the 20th.
A US-based analyst has warned on Tuesday, January 25th, that we are looking at potentially the most significant conflict since World War II, as Western leaders have stepped up preparations for any Russian military action in Ukraine, with the United States focusing on how to protect energy supplies and Britain urging other European nations to get economic sanctions ready. Tensions have remained high after NATO announced on Monday that it was putting forces on standby and reinforcing Eastern Europe with more ships and fighter jets in response to a Russian troop buildup near its border with Ukraine.
I think we're looking at potentially the most significant conflict that we have seen since World War II. When you look at the kind of composition, the size, the capabilities that Russia is building up on Ukraine's border, it suggests that they're preparing for a relatively significant invasion scenario where they could possibly, encircle Kiev and take half of eastern Ukraine. That's something we haven't seen in decades. In many ways, this is President Putin going back to address the outcome of the Cold War. I think he's looking to rewind time, to rewrite the rules of the European security order. I think he's looking to mitigate US influence in Eastern Europe and basically to get the United States out of what he sees as his sphere of influence. So it's about Ukraine, but it's also about much more than Ukraine. Putin is gambling wildly. I would say, looking at his 22 years in power now, that this is the riskiest endeavor he's embarked on. So there is a real risk that he is just grossly miscalculating about how easy this military move is going to be in Ukraine. You hear from people that President Putin is very isolated. He is an authoritarian leader in a highly personalized system. So there's always questions about the quality of information that he receives. So, he could be grossly miscalculating about just how easy this is going to be. And I think he could be miscalculating about Russians' tolerance for this.
Russia, which denies planning an attack, has said it was watching with great concern. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov has repeated Moscow's line that the crisis is being driven by the US and NATO actions, not the Russian troop buildup. The United States and the European Union have threatened economic sanctions if Russia launches an invasion, and Western leaders say unity is paramount, though differences have emerged among European nations over how best to respond. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson told Parliament it is absolutely vital that the West is united now, because it is our unity now that will be much more effective in deterring any Russian aggression. He urged European friends to be ready to deploy sanctions as soon as there was any incursion. He has said Britain was discussing the possibility of banning Russia from the SWIFT global payment system with the United States, one of many potential measures to punish Moscow if it launches an offensive. In Washington, Biden administration officials have said the United States was in talks with major energy-producing countries and companies around the world over a potential diversion of supplies to Europe if Russia invades Ukraine. The European Union depends on Russia for around a third of its gas supplies. Any interruptions to Russia's gas supply to Europe would exacerbate an existing energy crisis caused by shortages. Russia has tens of thousands of troops near Ukraine and is demanding security guarantees from the West, including a promise by NATO never to admit Ukraine. Moscow sees the former Soviet Republic as a buffer between Russia and NATO countries. The first deputy managing director of the International Monetary Fund, Geeta Gopinath, has said the tensions over Ukraine have been felt on financial markets and the price of oil in recent days. An escalated conflict between Russia and Ukraine would likely further increases in energy costs for many countries, keeping headline inflation rates elevated for longer. In a sign of concern that an attack may come soon, Canada has said it was temporarily withdrawing families of its diplomats in Ukraine, and Sweden's foreign ministry has also said it was advising against all non-essential travel to Ukraine, all travel to Crimea, and to regions in eastern Ukraine. The U.S. State Department has said it is ordering diplomats' family members to leave, and Britain has said it is withdrawing some staff and dependents from its embassy in Kiev. The United States has committed more than $650 million of security assistance to Ukraine in the past year, and more than $2.7 billion in total since 2014, when Russia annexed Ukraine's Crimea Peninsula. And now for a look at news making international headlines this Thursday, 27th January.
Firefighters have fought a fire in a building in central Athens, Greece on Wednesday, 26th of January, sparked by a large explosion that left one person hospitalized with burns and two others treated for smoke inhalation. The blast has smashed windows and wrecked the facades of the buildings along the major traffic artery of Sengru Avenue, which links the city center to the southern suburbs, while damaging buildings up to 656 feet away. Debris littered the street a day after a severe snowstorm swept the capital, disrupting traffic and stranding thousands of people. At least 18 firefighters have used 7 engines to battle a blaze at one building and have nearly brought it under control, the fire brigade said. It was not immediately clear what triggered the blast of the fire, officials said. "We have a fire, there was a blast before that," said the fire brigade commander at the scene.
Yemen's Houthis have handed over the bodies of the victims from last week's airstrikes on the detention centre to their families for burial on Tuesday, 25th of January. The airstrikes have killed 91 people and wounded 236. The Houthi administration health minister has confirmed, providing an update toll after rescue efforts ended. The United Nations announced on Saturday, the 22nd of January, that at least 60 people were killed in the attacks. Witnesses recall the blast hitting the centre, which was reduced to rubble. The Saudi-led coalition battling the Houthis have said the facility in Sada province was not included on a no-target list formed with UN agencies. The coalition has accused the Houthi forces of spreading unspecified misinformation about the attack. Fighting has escalated in recent weeks, with more airstrikes than what the Saudi-led coalition says are Houthi military targets. The Iran-aligned Houthi movement has stepped up missile and drone attacks on the United Arab Emirates and crossing border launches on neighbouring Saudi Arabia. The United Nations have urged de-escalation in the nearly 7-year war, which more than 100,000 people have been killed and 4 million displaced. The coalition intervened in Yemen in March 2015 after the Houthis ousted the internationally recognised government from power to the capital, Sana'a. The group says it's fighting a corrupt system and foreign aggression.
Rescuers on Monday continued searching for survivors of a boat accident in the Democratic Republic of Congo, in which about 60 people were killed. 60 victims were confirmed dead after the boat capsized on the Congo River near Mbandaka, capital of Ecuador province, a week earlier. More than 200 people have been rescued. The boat, which was in poor condition, was overloaded with about 600 passengers, citing some survivors' testimonies. The government of Ecuador province has not set up a specific committee to investigate the cause of the accident. Ship accidents are recurrent across the DRC, particularly on the Congo River, where nighttime travel overloads as well as poor conditions of ships are usually the causes. The DRC is the second largest African country with a land area of 2.3 million square kilometers, but it has poor road infrastructure, leaving residents with a lack of convenient means of transport. After the break, a look at all the latest sports news.
តើលោកអ្នកចិត្តរៀបអាពាហ៍ពិពាហ៍មែនទេហើយពិបាករកក្រុមហ៊ុនថតវីដេអូផ្សាយផ្ទាល់ដែលមានគុណភាពមែនទេអស់កង្វល់រ៉ាទីកាជាក្រុមហ៊ុនទទួលស្គាល់លំដាប់អន្តរជាតិលើសេវាកម្មថតផ្សាយផ្ទាល់គ្រប់កម្មវិធីកម្រិត 4K ដំបូងបង្អស់នៅកម្ពុជារ៉ាទីកាប្រើប្រាស់ឧបករណ៍ទំនើបម៉ាកល្បីធានាគុណភាពការផលិតតាមបច្ចេកវិទ្យាទាន់សម័យរ៉ាទីកានឹងជួយធ្វើឲ្យកម្មវិធីលោកអ្នកកាន់តែមានភាពអស្ចារ្យលោកអ្នកនឹងបានឃើញរាល់សកម្មភាពក្នុងពិធីទៅលើកញ្ចក់ទូរទស្សន៍ទំហំធំកម្រិត 4K និងការបញ្ចាំងលើផ្ទាំងក្រណាត់សព្រមទាំង LED ដែលមានរូបភាពច្បាស់ត្រជាក់ភ្នែកសូមអញ្ជើញកក់ពីឥឡូវនេះតាមរយៈលេខទូរស័ព្ទ012 823 848 017 838 889និង016 823 848រ៉ាទីកាទំនុកចិត្តការទទួលខុសត្រូវនិងគុណភាពខ្ពស់
Italy's Juventus Football Club have agreed to sign ACF Fiorentina striker Dusan Vlahovic in a deal worth €75 million or $84.56 million, Sky Italia has revealed on Tuesday, January 25th.
The deal would be the most expensive of the January transfer window so far, with Serie A joint top scorer, Serbian striker for Serie A club Fiorentina and the Serbian national team, Dusan Vlahovic, set to earn a reported almost €7 million per year in Turin. Fiorentina sporting director Daniele Pradi has said on Italian television on Monday night that the club door was open for offer but set a price tag for €75 million. The Serbian, who joined the Florent club in July 2018, was named best young player in Serie A last season after scoring 21 league goals. He has continued that form hit another 17 this season under new coach Vincenzo Italino, a record matched only by Lazio Ciro Immobile. Vlahovic's departures seem inevitable after Fiorentina owner Rocco Commisso has announced in October last year that the strikers had turned down offers of an extension to his deal, which was set to expire in June 2023. Juventus are fifth in Serie A, 6 points ahead of 7th place Fiorentina with a game in hand.
Heading into Thursday's January 27th match against Brazil, Ecuador's head coach is concerned with his squad's lack of rhythm.
Coach Gustavo Alfaro has hinted at his players lack the starts as a disadvantage against those from the Brazilian squad, where every player is rolling in leagues across the world. He says an important part of our squad is not competing. We have most of our players in the local scene. Adding to the team's challenges, the government has prohibited attendance for the match, a decision for Ecuador's Football Federation President Francisco Egas is asking to overturn. With 23 points, Ecuador is currently in third place in the qualifying table, ahead of Colombia and Peru, each with 17 points. Brazil have qualified for Qatar World Cup and currently top the 10-team South American group with 5 matches remaining.
And now for a look at how the weather will be playing out tomorrow. And finally, The Smithsonian National Zoo's prehensile-tailed porcupine couple, Beatrix and Quilber, have a big announcement to make that may warm your heart. The porcupine couple have welcomed their second little porcupette, as baby porcupines are known, into the world on the night of January 3rd. The Washington, D.C.'s National Zoo has made the announcement official in a tweet on Wednesday, and their new kid is looking sharp. Small mammal housekeepers came in for duty on January 4th and discovered Beatrix had given birth overnight, the Smithsonian's National Zoo media website has reported. The porcupette, or baby porcupine, is seen with mom Beatrix in all of the visuals released by the zoo. Dad Quilber is in a different habitat for now to allow mom and porcupette to bond. The now nearly 3-week-old porcupette looks cozy with mom and is nursing well and gaining weight. The zoo team is looking forward to learning if the newborn will take after Beatrix, who is relaxed and easygoing, or be more active and curious like Dad Quilber. These sharp little beauties look anatomically similar until they reach 6 months of age. Smithsonian zookeepers sent quill samples to scientists at the zoo's Center for Conservation Genomics for DNA analysis and hope to reveal their porcupette's sex and its name in a few weeks. The porcupette's elder sibling was born in November of 2019 after Beatrix and Quilber bred for the first time. Quilber was transferred to the National Zoo from upstate New York specifically for this purpose about a year before their first porcupette was born. Like its older sibling, the new and so far yet to be named porcupette is the 4th generation of Beatrix's family living in the zoo, according to a press release shared by the birth of Beatrix's first baby. Prehensile-tailed porcupines are native to South America and one of 18 species of porcupines native to North, South, and Central America. When a porcupette is born, its protective quills are soft and hair-like, but they harden minutes after birth. By 3 days old, a newborn's quills can be prickly enough to hurt. Once this newborn is old enough, he or she will be in the zoo's small mammal house, climbing in man-made tree canopies and munching on leaves, flowers, shoots, and other vegetation with their porcupine family. Thank you for watching the Daily Roundup on EAC News Channel. For more breaking news and updates, you can check out our website, eacnews.asia, or search EAC News on Telegram or at your favorite app store. More from the EAC News team tomorrow night at 8 p.m. We will see you then.